Welcome to FSX Podcast. I'm your host, Faisal Shifao. Today I have a very special guest, Daniel Teklehaimnot. He is the founder of Cloudex. It's a technology company building software for small size and mid-sized businesses. Daniel, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Good. Are you ready for the holiday season?
You can never be ready, but I think I am.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's Cloudex?
CloudX is business process outsourcing company focusing on AP invoice automation.
Okay.
That's what we do. Horizontal market in the North America, mainly Canada and US. So that's what we focus on. But it's AP invoice automation company.
When did you start the company?
We started, CloudX was established in 2012. The idea, the concept started in 2011, but we put it together in 2012, myself and another partner.
All right. So one key term from the website is optimal character recognition, OCR.
OCR.
What is it?
OCR is, I'm sure it's part of AI. So AI is a buzzword right now. You hear it everywhere. But we've been using OCR for quite a while. Actually, since I graduated from college, I've been using that technology. And what it does is if you have an image and it has a text data, that has a technology to extract the text out of the image. The alternative is manually capturing it, but if you have that technology, it reads it for you. And then you can take that data and massage it and apply it to anything you want.
So it's a part of AI. There's this. We'll talk about AI another day. But what was the inspiration?
We saw a niche. My focus after I graduated from college, which is a different story, was mainly in the document process outsourcing. So I've been working in that industry. So I said there's an open market to it, especially if you take AI and apply BI to it, business intelligence. That's what we did. We applied it to AP automation, and we saw the open market. We got into it.
But what pushed you to start a company?
The
motivation behind it.
Exactly. I've always wanted to start my own business. But, starting business is not for everybody, right? You have to have your own interest. I wanted to do that. And this happened to be something that opened up for me. And I jumped into it. And it's working out well. I always wanted to do something, right? And the technology spectrum especially. So.
All right. So how hard was it to get enough customers? Was it hard, challenging?
Well, see, depending on the market, right? Our market, when I started, prior to that, I had some business stuff before while I was working for the corporate. But the initial customer, building your name is not easy, right? It takes time. But eventually, the business can sell itself. I mean, the idea can sell itself. So our name is out there. Depending on the industry that you're looking at, people know us, and we do trade shows and things like that. We do a showcase of our software. But you're right. I mean, initially, it was not easy, but it took a couple of years, before we are.
So did you have to market it to businesses?
Yeah, our focus is it's B2B, right? Business to business. It's not business to consumer. So we had to focus on different industries. The good thing about our solution is it's not vertical. It's not like you only sell it for hospital or you only sell it for federal government. We don't care. It's a horizontal market. As long as a given company has a good size, right, to justify what we charge, and as long as they have AP invoices, we can help them automate. And then that's what we do.
So who are your customers? The majority?
Mainly, well, like you mentioned, most are small to medium size, right? Because we don't want to go through the RFP process. The big companies usually want you to jump through so many politics, and we don't need to do that. So our focus is majority of our customers, believe it or not, are car dealers, the big ones, big dealers, processing in the range of 500 to, a couple of $1 billion. That's our niche. But we do have big customers as well. But yeah, those are the customers. To mention some, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but like Nestle Waters, they used to sell Nestle chocolate, I'm sure.
Yeah, they have a headquarters in Roswell.
Yeah, and then that section of what we do got bought by Blue Triton. Blue Triton is an investment company. They're multi-billion-dollar companies, and we do process a lot of documents for them, not just invoices, but other documents as well.
Okay, so on your website, I saw a witness, a restaurant owner. How can you help a restaurant? Let's say, I think they have a bakery,
All
I think they
acres.
use
Factory. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, horizontal market, right? So we do have a Franklin Bakery or something. They're out in the Boston area.
Yeah.
They have factory, and they actually distribute their product, in this case, their breads, to a lot of restaurants and everything else. So they do process a lot of invoices. So we help them automate that piece. So like I said, it doesn't matter. We have hospitals, for example. You would think hospitals invoice, but they do have invoice because they deal with a lot of suppliers, vendors. That means the alternative is they would manually enter that data into their ERP system, enterprise resource planning, which has an accounting in it. They don't have to do that without, using our solution.
So your software helps them kind of facilitate the process of account payable. Is that?
That is true. So the alternative would be you get an invoice from your vendor, and you open up your ERP system, and then ERP is a big one, but the application for
So let's make it easy for the audience. Let's say you selling milk for the bakery, right? So you are a milk producer.
Let's go that's a nice use case. So in order for the company, in this case the bread company, in order to build that bread, they need to buy milk, they need to buy eggs, those are the vendors that they get invoices from. They take those invoices, and the alternative is manually entering that data into their system because they need to pay and they need to account for that, right? The typical accounting, you don't just pay, you need to associate that with a special account code, and they do that manually. With our solution, though, we just get the invoices from them as is. Literally, they forward the invoice that they get from the vendors. We extract the data out of it, and then we'll push it through what's called workflow, approval workflow. Because you don't just want to pay, it needs to go through some approval process. It gets GL coded. GL means general ledger. It's an accounting term. Once it's done, then it needs to go into the ERP system. And we automate all that piece. It's all 100% web-based. We're a cloud technology. We deploy it on AWS, Amazon. And, you could be anywhere. Securely access our application, approve. Once it's GL code, it goes into their system. They don't have to do all that stuff manually anymore, right? The alternative is pushing that paper invoice, moving around the office, getting the approval manually, and all. It just
so you streamline the process.
That's what we do. And then we pay the vendors. For some customers, they also want us to pay the vendors on their behalf. And we do that part as well. And then if the vendor takes a credit card, we actually give them a rebate for processing credit card. So the big automation with respect to AP invoices.
So you said small, let's say you do small business. How small?
We look at, they have to be at least 200 million or so, because otherwise...
That's not small. That's on this.
Well, yeah, but in the US though, yeah, that's still considered small.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a lot of invoices. It doesn't justify. You have to have about, at least 3-4 AP people doing manual entry. Unfortunately, they need to use those people somewhere else. But that's what we do. We take that, create productivity, automate that, fast process, and we're done.
All right. So where's your headquarters located?
The headquarters is in Connecticut. I do go there quite a bit.
Why Connecticut?
Connecticut. It's called New Haven. Why? You said mainly my partner that has a shareholder. My partner is there, and then that's where we started it. And the big customer that I told you, Nestle Waters, have their headquarters there. So the money reasons why we did it there, and we kept it there. We have a branch office here in the DC DMV area, but the main office.
How many offices do you have?
We have one here, one, of course, the headquarters in Connecticut. We have a big one in Ethiopia. We have Rwanda. We have partners in India, a couple of partners specifically working for us. We have one in El Salvador. We plan to do other areas as well, mainly West Coast, to make it easy.
So what have you learned since you started Cloudex?
Patience and discipline. I think, not being cocky, but I've always been disciplined on what I do. Even when I work for a corporate, I'm not there to collect paycheck, right? I do my best on what I do. Yeah. So I've learned that, time management, discipline, patience. You would think that owning a company, that you're the boss, that's not true. The bosses are the customers. You want to make sure that they're happy, because when they say jump, you say how high. You need to make sure you take care of them. But patience is important. Dealing with your staff, making sure that you create the right balance. And there may be some conflicts between them, and you need to be the moderator between them and making sure that everything is done. So you learn a lot by doing business. Yes.
What was your proudest moment? Your proudest moment?
Proudest moment, I'll have to say, we would think that would have been the worst moment, which is COVID.
Yeah.
During COVID, we lost 5 customers, right? Because they literally went under.
What was the reason?
They went under.
No,
They
no,
couldn't.
no.
I mean, one, for example, one was local company. I don't think I should mention their name, but
No.
they do beauty supply and all that stuff. And then, of course, that market went down and they lost the company. They went down. There were quite a few. So we lost 5. But at the same token, though, we gained a lot because all the prospects that haven't bought our system yet, they knew that automating would help them. So if they automated, they may, they may have issues somewhere else, but at least they will be able to pay their vendors on time because they can process. They could be anywhere. It's our solution. You could be at home. You could be on your phone, process invoice and pay them. Because we capture, you don't have to get into your system to do it. You push it through our system. So we sold, that year was pretty good for us. We did a good job. So we're proud of ourselves for that.
Okay, now let's move to AI.
Okay.
How are you using AI in your business?
AI, we talked about optical character recognition, right? Again, it's a buzzword now. Everybody talks about AI. AI is a good thing. But AI by itself is like data by itself means nothing unless you apply data mining and make sense out of it. AI, until you apply BI to it with business intelligence, means nothing. So we took AI, which is the optical character recognition, right, and applied it to AP, which is account payables, to process invoices. When you do that, then it starts to make sense. Everybody says, AI, but well, how do you apply AI? So we really take advantage of that, right? We help them automate their AP stuff. So
your productivity has increased, you were saying?
definitely productivity on our end because we use OCR, right? AI.
Mhm.
Productivity for our customers because stuff that takes days to process, now it's literally in 24 hours, the stuff is done for them, right? Productivity goes up.
But the question is, do you see any negative impact?
Yeah.
Are you
People
gonna
lose their job,
Yeah.
right? For example, in my company, if we had to do everything manually data capture for the documents, we needed to hire a lot of people. But we use technology. We do quality control, right? We don't just push the data as it comes from the OCR. It needs to go through cleanup process. But still, we don't have to have thousands of people to do the stuff that we do. We just have to have a few hundred, to do the data cleaning. Same with the customers. We don't tell them fire your APP team. We tell them that could be negative. When we sell our product, we tell them use your people somewhere else or make them more productive so they can do more for you. So they can do exceptions because they don't have to do manual data entry. So if they have 12 people or 20 people doing that AP thing, now all of a sudden they just need 3, right? Because the 17 people have to go somewhere else. So
Yeah. But my question is, let's say, when you're building a system, you need coders, right? You still need coders, right?
yes,
So before, when you build the software, coding was the most complex part of.
yes.
But now, do you need them or you need less of them?
You still need them, right?
Okay.
Because again, AI can give you the nice framework at the bottom,
Yeah.
so you can have the bottom part of it, but you still need to massage it to make sense out of it, right? So they utilize that AI to configure it so we can apply that to the business intelligence, right? Taking AI is like the core product. OCR by itself, if you just throw it wouldn't work. You need to configure it, you need to massage it, you need to take it, you need to push it through the, all that stuff. There needs to be some sort of integration work to make it work. So the developers, highly paid with respect to, if you look at Ethiopia, we pay them pretty well. But, they're happy, they make money, and I don't see any of our developers being let go or anything. Because
Yeah, but the demand will not be as
the demand is not going to be as
Yeah.
much because you don't have to build a core, right? We don't have to write the OCR part. That's already given. It's like an engine. But you're right. You still need some people.
somebody who has a general knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now let's go to your personal question.
Sure.
What's your education background?
I went to University of Maryland here, College Park, and I studied electrical engineering. And in my senior year, I focused on the software side. The old days, C++, Java things. Java was just coming up. And that's electrical engineer. So I'm an engineer.
When did you move here to the US?
Just let's say a few decades back. Yes, I came when I was quite young.
Yeah.
So I spent most of my young adulthood and the adult age here in the US. Prior to this, I was in Russia and I was in Greece as well. And then,
How often do you go back?
I typically go about every 3 months. I go to Addis. In between, I go to different places, of course, main office here or something, but to Ethiopia at least 4 times a year.
Okay, I would like to ask you this question. What's the state of technology in Ethiopia?
They're trying, right? So if I can give you multiple examples. So they trying to get into that, and there's the Telebur, and you've seen the Ethiopian Airlines app, and they use that and all that stuff. I think the biggest gap that I've seen is maintenance. They don't maintain it. They build something and stays there, right? If you look at again,
Why is that? It costs money to maintain it? Of course.
well, I think the attitude is it works to what they want, and they just leave it there, right? I mean, I take Ethiopian Airlines. I love them, right? It's a great airline, and they're doing very well. But when it comes to their app, it's been the same app. It's been there for years. But if you look at other apps, all they have to do is compare. You can do a much more product. Speed is fast on the other apps. Their app is quite slow and it doesn't give you everything. You can do reservation, but if you need to do more stuff, you need to go to their web page to do it. Same thing with the banks, for example. Banks, they have app that you can use on your hand, but if you need to go on a website to do it, they don't have a website. You can't do any management of your accounts. Commercial bank is huge in Ethiopia, and yet there's no web access to it, right? There's huge gap. But then there's, they have Uber, ride and Ferris and all that stuff. They have those things. So they're trying to catch up. So the public sector is trying to catch up, and the young people are, pretty good. You can find good skills, and so.
But what about the quality? Is it the maintenance or the quality?
Quality with respect to people. You need to train them, right? Because knowing is one thing, but again, discipline is a good thing, right? Because in the US, again, I love my people, right? But the discipline is different there. There's a typical term, chigrelim, but that doesn't work in my company, right? I don't want to hear that chigrelim. That means no problem, right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it sometime, and then when you go at that time, it's not ready. So they need to get used to that time management and quality management, and eventually once they get there, we don't have any turnover rates. Our employees stay with us. We take care of them again. But to get there, it usually takes time. It's a different culture.
Do you have any projects back home?
Projects, we used to, our company name back in Ethiopia is SICS Media, and then SICS IT Outsourcing. So the company, Cloudex actually uses SICS from Addis Ababa perspective to outsource some of the stuff. But then SICS by itself has media, advertisement, and other things as well. So they do that.
Yeah. So now let me ask you a personal.
Sure.
Do you have children? Do you have children?
I do.
Okay.
I have, wonderful wife. Her name is Addis Adam Getachew, and I have 3 kids, Johanna Daniel, Lydia Daniel, and Philip Daniel.
All grown?
College.
Okay.
College, they're doing good. And the 2 went to NYU. One is finishing up. The other one already finished. And then my son goes to Carnegie Mellon, doing engineering.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I always like entrepreneurs. I always say, like, hey, do you want your kids to be entrepreneur, or what do you encourage them? Let's say you have children in your family, right?
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you?
So the way we raised our kids, both my wife and I, Saturday when they were younger, it used to be a day we have breakfast together, and I'm a good pancake maker, by the way. So I make breakfast or whatever, omelette or something. We sit down and then we talk. We talk about stock market. We talk about different things, the value of money and all that stuff. But ultimately, the decision is up to them, right? They need to making money is one thing. It's a good thing, right? Everybody loves making money. but then you need to align it to what you like, right? Sometimes there's a culture in the US, do what you like, and then they try to do what they like, and they don't make money, and then their life is, they're not happy. They're always depressed. No, I don't have money and all. But you need to balance that, right? You don't have to 100% like it. You sort of like it, but then you make good money, and then you can enjoy life. That's what we instill in them, whether they want to establish their own business eventually or they want to work for the corporate. It doesn't matter. That's what we tell them. And we also tell them, do your best, right? One of the things that I've done when I worked for a corporate for quite a while before I started my company is wherever I go, I don't go there to collect paycheck. I do my best. And then the question is, how about if somebody else is not doing their job and you carrying their stuff? It doesn't matter. You just do your best because somebody's always watching.
Do you think that's work ethic? Develop a good work ethic?
Yeah, work ethic is important. You need to respect your job. You need to do your best at what you do. And believe me, somebody's always watching. So you can go up the ladder, which I did when I worked for the corporate.
All right. So now, you're in a good shape. Do you exercise?
Yeah, healthy lifestyle is something that we do at home, right? We try to eat healthy. I do exercise. Well, before COVID, I used to go to a gym. Right now, in my basement, I have my own gym, and then I exercise, I swim, and all that stuff. So then when it's warm and nice, of course, outdoor activities. So yeah, I do.
Okay. I also noticed you travel. You travel a lot.
I do travel, business as well. We take my kids grew up traveling. Right?
Okay.
Every year, at least once or twice. It could be Europe. It could be anywhere, or in the U.S. as well. It could be down in Mexico vacation spots. So we travel a lot. Yes.
Okay. So if I ask you your favorite vacation destinations.
Yeah, so top one, I'll have to say, I'm sure my kids and my wife will agree, is Greece.
Greece.
Right? We were there
Or Santorini.
last year. Yeah, Athens is nice,
Okay.
but Santorini is outstanding. And the next one is Morocco. My wife and I went there. And again, Casablanca is nice,
Yeah.
but Marrakesh is another one that I think everyone should at one point experience. But then not also in the US, there are a lot of places that you need to see. Grand Canyon, people take it for granted, but you got to see that. It's beautiful. It's amazing. There's Sedona. There's there are many places in the US that you need to see. So
Right. So this question now. Let me move. So personal, we're still personal, right? Sometimes you make a wrong business decision, right? How do you gear over it? How do you move on?
The way I see things, unless you accept it as a failure, there's no failure, right? If you say, I've learned from it, I won't make that mistake again, I'll move on, then that's fine. Because prior to Cloudex, I've attempted a few businesses. There was a business that I attempted in 2002 in Ethiopia. Data capture, manual, no OCR, to capture data in Ethiopia. But then they didn't have Wi-Fi. It was all modem, the old modem. It did not work. We had 24 hours, 3 shifts, manual data entry. When the data is captured, you try to get the data. Sometimes it fails. We lost the customers, and I stopped it. But then I learned from it. It's not a big deal. If you learn from it and move forward, that's okay.
Okay. So what's your next goal?
Next goal, you see, I hate a system to define my lifestyle. People say, at this age you do this, at this age you retire. That doesn't apply to me, right? As long as you have a healthy lifestyle again, I want to continue to grow Cloudex. Hopefully, in Ethiopia, there's some business that I want to expand with my brother. My brother lives in Ethiopia and helps me work on that. His name is Gideon. So hopefully we can expand a few things on that. We do have a lot of things in mind, local projects. If we can execute that, that'll be nice. And then, of course, to grow Cloudex further, right?
Right. So we're almost done.
Of course.
What's your best business advice to someone you'd give, starting out?
So business advice, business is not for everybody, right? Because if you work for a company, you don't have to worry about the business. If the business goes down, you go find another job somewhere else, at least in the US, because, job market is pretty good. But it doesn't really it's not a rocket science. My favorite show on Netflix is Succession.
Okay.
Everyone should see that if you want to learn about business. It's a good one. And one of the kids, the boy over there says, being successful in business is not hard. You need to assess, you need to plan, you need to execute. Assess, if you do the assessment, study the risk, and know what you're trying to get into, you do not have to have a new idea. Actually, having a new idea requires a lot of marketing because you need to create awareness. An existing idea, opening a restaurant, doesn't matter, whatever it is, study the environment, who is the consumer, is there a market for it, that's the assessment. Then you write a business plan, make sure that you get the fund to be able to establish the business. As long as you have that, whether you get loan from a bank or you raise money, whatever it is. And finally, and then you put a timeline to it, then you executing and making it happen. And then you follow that timeline, and to do all that stuff requires discipline and patience. And you do that, we need to have that capital to be able to do it, depending on the business, right? And then once you do that, you'll be able to get to it. But if you just talk about it and don't do anything, nothing will happen, right? You need to execute.
All right. Last question.
Sure.
Where do you see Africa in 10 years?
What I want it to be and where
your prediction
is a different thing.
That's just so, you travel there a lot. So your prediction.
Yeah. You see, again, it's a free country, so I can say it. I like capitalism, good, but I do not like imperialism. The West's influence to make sure that Africa stays down, because if you unite Africa, it's going to be trouble for the U.S. would be fine, but especially for Europe and the France and all that stuff, they would not want that, right? Because all the natural resources, 80% of the world resource comes from Africa, and then they get it for cheap. And they sell it back to Africa, right? You've got, the combination 1.4 billion people in Africa. You unite that, it's going to be strong. That's going to be difficult. That's my dream. It would have been nice. But 10 years, I think, if we get rid of all these wars and conflicts, individually, the countries will do well. I think hopefully we'll have this highway from Egypt all the way to South Africa, so we can attract, tourists. I think peace is important. If we have the peace, we can achieve. We've got a lot of smart people. We underestimate the young people. We have a lot of young. Majority of the population is young, so we have that potential. If we take that and apply it, the way I tell people, right? Ethiopia, if you look at it population-wise, we're number 12 from the world. But wealth-wise, GDP and all that, we're all the way down, right? If you look at China, it's not oil. It's not anything. They have population. They made their people accessible to the international market, and China is catching up to the U.S. now.
Yeah,
right?
now they're moving to the service industry. Yeah.
So why isn't it Ethiopia number 12 when it comes to wealth, right? GDP, not just GDP. Gross, that's GDP is one thing, but even for individuals, the individual success is important as well, right? Per capita. We need to get to that point, and we need to market our people. We're a landlocked country. We have the potential. We have the young people. We need to market them, and then there's nothing like human mind, right? You could have oil, you could have gold. Human mind is priceless. We need to market that. If we can do that, Ethiopia can lead that whole East Africa in no time, hopefully.
I will see. Hey, again, thanks for being here.
Of course.
I hope we'll do this again. Good luck to your business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Pleasure.
Thank you.